94.3 Radio 1, One World, your station. My name is Blaaze, and we are doing fine, positively sublime as the bell chimes. We have someone truly special online. I am so honored and privileged to have with us the godfather of Indian jazz and my godfather in the industry, too. They all say
Wow.
that you can't make it here without a godfather. Well, I found mine way back over 20 years ago in the form of Mr.
Wow.
Louis Banks. Good morning,
Wow.
and thank you so much for being here.
Good morning. Good morning.
I
Wow.
must,
Such a pleasure.
wow.
Such a pleasure. Such a pleasure.
I must start by saying a huge thank you straight from my heart. And to the listeners out there, here's a quick recap. When I first came to Mumbai with my demo tapes, I wanted to become a rapper. And it was Maria Goretti who gave me Uncle Louis's number. And she said, "You should go meet him." I was invited to your 60th birthday party that weekend. And the whole cream of the industry was there jamming to live music. And Mr. Louis Banks said, "Give him the mic." Those words are etched in my heart, and
Wow.
my life changed after that. In fact,
Wow.
Shivamani was there, and he took me to A.R.Rahman, and 20 years passed by, and it's because of that moment. I was a new kid with a dream. You opened your heart and the world to me,
Okay.
so I thank you sincerely. Um,
Uh,
my first
it's
question is
beautiful.
yeah, my first question is, how are you, and how do I tell the world how amazing you are? Tell us, tell us
I
your
wish I
journey.
knew. I wish I knew myself.
No, tell
I'm
us
just
your.
happy to be here,
Yes.
being a musician, writing songs, playing songs, jamming with guys. That's my life.
Wow.
Without that, I'm nobody.
Wow. Tell us your journey. How did it all start for you? And in fact, I'm taking you all the way back to when you started with your father and Mrs. Myers, your neighbor.
Oh God, Mrs. Myers. Wow, wow, wow. Ooh, that brings back memories. Long time ago, long time ago. Oh God. Wow. Long time ago, meaning like 60 years, 50, 70 years,
Wow.
80 years. Wow. It started where? In Darjeeling. Of course, that's where I was. And of course, schooling and everything was happening. But fortunately, dad had a band playing in one of the clubs. And dad, being a musician, he put us through the music lessons every day. All five of us kids,
Wow.
and all of us took to some instrument. I took to the trumpet. How about that? Because my dad played trumpet. Yeah,
Yes.
and I still have his trumpet with me. Yeah, I
Wow.
still have his trumpet. Yeah, and uh, and I started playing. But he said, "No, you must learn piano because that's the king of instruments. That's once you know piano, you can branch out into any instrument." Yeah, and then finally, to cut a long story short, I discovered jazz.
Amazing, so amazing. We're going to find out more. We are still here with the godfather of Indian jazz, my dearest Mr. Louis Banks. This is 94.3 Radio 1, One World, your station. Good morning to you. 94.3 Radio 1, One World, your station. My name is Blaaze. This is my biggest interview yet with the godfather of Indian jazz, a man whose name was changed by his father as a tribute to the great Louis Armstrong. In fact, the change in name was kind of a change in your game. We have the one and only Mr. Louis Banks with us, and you've been creating and composing and performing for decades now. And maybe you can share with the listeners what gets you up every day and ready to play. Is there a routine or a process that you've come to learn and practice over the years?
I sit at the piano and start doodling, what
Wow.
we call doodling. Yeah, doodling, just playing anything that comes to your mind. Yeah, and with nothing really happening in your mind, any different moods, no, nothing like that. You just go on playing some notes here and there, playing a phrase here and there. And that's how I start. And sometimes a phrase that I played suddenly strikes me as, hey, that was nice. Yeah, maybe I could develop that little phrase into a kind of piece of music. And that's the beginning.
Wow.
So I write down that phrase, and then I take that phrase and I develop that into a kind of a song and into a piece. Yeah, that's the regular routine that I follow. Yeah, but I sit down at the piano with a blank mind. Yeah, and
Wow.
let my fingers do the talking.
Amazing. And you're so welcoming to the new generations and the new talent. I know so many musicians, including me, who in large part owe their careers to you. You truly are our
Wow.
godfather. So I want to
Oh,
ask you, who is your inspiration?
oh. I said the first was my father. Definitely. Yeah, without him, yeah, I learned a lot from him. Yeah, I'm very grateful for that. And he's a great musician, absolutely great musician. Yeah, I'm lucky to be his son and learn so much music from him. And I discovered Chick Corea and Errol Garner, people like that. And then finally, I discovered Herbie Hancock.
Wow.
And I just loved what he played, kind of music he made, the kind of voicings, chord voicings, the harmonies that he played, even on familiar tunes. It was so beautiful. And I wanted to learn that. And I started copying him, all kinds of things all the time. Yeah. Trying to play like Herbie Hancock, yeah. Always. Yeah. So he was my biggest influence.
When you started, and for a while you were in R.D. Burman's band in Mumbai, you were exploring the live jazz scene in Bombay as well. How has the growth or the evolution of music been for you over the years? How is it different today to how it was back then?
Jazz being the serious kind of music that you play, you have very limited audience that you play to. Yeah. And most of them are plus 40. Yeah. That could relate to that music. Yeah.
Right.
And the youngster didn't bother about that music. Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, hey, that's too complicated, and there's no melody, and you don't know what you're playing, what the guy is playing. So they were not tuned to it at all. Yeah. So jazz started to decline.
Right.
Till the 70s, it was one of the most uh, accepted music all over India. And that
Wow.
was a glorious time for jazz. Yeah. I remember playing in Calcutta in the 70s. We
Right.
had a great audience who loved jazz. Yeah.
Wow.
And we used to play pop tunes even in a jazz manner.
Wow.
Yeah. Using jazz chords in a pop tune. And I had people like Pam Crane, Braz Gonzalez in the band. It was amazing. Yeah.
Wow.
So we used to play pop jazz. Yeah.
Pop jazz.
Yeah. Yes. And people loved it. They used to dance to it. Yeah.
Wow.
Somebody came into my restaurant where I was playing, of course, and he sat down. I didn't know. I didn't bother. But we were playing, and trying out our various jazz things, and the pop jazz thing and all that. Then when I took a break, the waiter comes in and says, "That gentleman wants to see you." I looked at him and said, "Who's he?" He's saying he's a famous music director from Bombay. Really? What's his name? R.D. Burman. Didn't ring a bell to me because I was in a different world. Totally.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But I went and shook hands with him, and he said, "I really love your playing." Yeah. And when I heard you play, it just struck me that it's such a coincidence that I'm doing a film where the hero of the film plays piano.
Wow.
So he's saying, "I think you would be the perfect guy to play piano for this guy." Yeah. For the actor. And I said, wow, that's great. Uh, so what I want to do is I want to offer you this job in Bombay. You have to come to Bombay and play music for this film, play piano. All you have to do is play piano because I said, no, I don't know anything about movies and I'm not familiar with that music. He's saying, no, nothing to worry about. Come to Bombay, come to our recording studio and you play piano.
Wow.
So he encouraged me like that, and I went and I had a great time actually writing something. He even asked me to write some things, introductions and interludes to his compositions and all that. So I did a lot of piano playing for that movie, and must tell you, the movie, if if our fans want to see it, it's Mukti.
Mukti. You heard it right here.
Mukti, yes.
94.3 Radio 1, One World, your station. My name is Blaaze, and we are still talking to the amazing Mr. Louis Banks. And I must tell you, I must tell the world, if you are a musician and you're coming to Mumbai, the city of dreams, Uncle Louis's doors are always open. And it's not just him. I'd like to mention how close I became to your kids, four amazing superstars, Monique, Andre, Gino, and my brother, in an album that we created together, Mr. Neil Banks. All four of them have the warmth and the love that you've instilled in them. So, my next question is, what would be your message to upcoming musicians, to the kids out there, to independent musicians, about the struggles, the success, and about having faith?
Having faith, very important. You've said it actually. Have faith, believe in yourself, yeah, and work at it. Really, you really have to work at it, yeah. And despite failures and shortcomings and all that, you just believe in it and go for it. Really, yeah. And one day it'll show results, definitely.
Wow. And quickly, your biography just released recently during the lockdown. Tell us more about that, and how has the lockdown been for you? How have you managed to keep the music flowing?
Uh, I consider myself very, very lucky, really, because God gave me the gift of music, yeah. And by His grace, I spend my time playing music. Yeah, and when the world is reeling with pandemic and all kind of things, yeah, and people are suffering and all that, I come to my piano and I play. Yeah, and
Wow.
I write and I compose. Yeah, and I'm really grateful for that. Yeah, for this blessing that I'm a musician. Really.
Amazing. So profound, so deep, and so genuine and so cool. The one and only, the legendary Mr. Louis Banks. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with me this morning. This is Good Morning right here with Blase 94.3 Radio 1, One World, your station. Thank you. That was
Been a
so
pleasure, pleasure,
thank
really a pleasure to see you. Actually, I'm seeing you after so many years. It's so great.
yeah. Wow.
Wow.
Blase.